Hogarth the Mad, Wizard Supreme and Master of the Arena, chanted quietly in the pits beneath the Frostring Arena. Blood from the great tournament above dripped from the cavernous ceiling, splashing off the massive glowing sapphire that dominated the center of the room. The blood hissed and boiled on the surface of the massive gem as if Frostheart were a simmering coal and not a source of everlasting ice. Boiling ichor struck Hogarth's face and arms, but he did not flinch. Though he smelled like death and his too wide smile was flecked with red, he continued chanting, pausing only for the occasional manic cackle. His chanting grew louder, clearer, feverish, and blood began to flow towards Frostheart, drawn like iron filings to a magnet. Droplets pulled themselves from his face and hair, streamed from the ground and through the air to create a crackling warded circle on the surface of the giant gem.
Soon I will be free of this place.
Hogarth's chest heaved like massive dwarven bellows. The casting left tracks of frozen sweat through his beard, each word a marathon. His breath was hot. It gathered around his head like steam, and the rushing in his ears was so loud he almost didn't hear the whisper of Lixel's dagger before she struck. With a smile as sharp as her blade, Lixel thrust at Hogarth's side, her diamond eyes blazing like twin stars. At the last second, almost by chance, Hogarth turned and, snarling, blocked the blade with his frozen arm.
Who the hells are you?
Hogarth spat. Screeching filled the air as Lixel tried to press her advantage, her dagger skittering over the surface of his icy appendage as it failed to find any purchase.
You know what?
He shook his head.
It doesn't matter. You're not going to stop me.
He laughed, short and bitter.
No one is going to stop me.
Spears of ice exploded outward from his arm, hurtling towards Lixel's unprotected chest. But instead of burying themselves in her flesh, the gems embedded in her spine flared like a macabre rainbow, and the icicles shattered as if they had struck stone.
Oh, is it?
Lixel purred.
You're wrong.
Before Hogarth could respond, she stepped forward and punched his frozen limb, cracking it and breaking through his guard. Quick as a viper, Lixel stabbed him in the leg and kicked him over, knocking him away from Frostheart and halting Hogarth's ritual in a shower of black sparks.
Foolish, fragile human. Frostheart has promised to set me free if I end your shell. Nothing will stop me from...
Her smile faltered. Though the blood covering Frostheart no longer writhed and boiled, it had carved deep gouges into the great gem's surface where it had passed. Cracks splintered and spread, webbing the gem with a sickly violet light, while musical screams like shattered wind chimes ghosted at the edge of sound.
What have you done?
Lixel shrieked, whirling on Hogarth as he pushed himself back up to a painful crouch.
I've escaped.
Without warning, violent energy burst forth from the gem as Frostheart began to rupture. The ground buckled and heaved as the gem's sickly energy tore the air asunder, leaving inky black portals in his wake. The musical screams grew louder and louder, beating on the air until suddenly they stopped. For a moment, all was silence. Then, with a deep groan like a frozen lake giving way, the great gem exploded. Massive sapphire splinters hurtled through the air, punching through the ancient arena's walls and embedding themselves into the floor. Lixel jumped backwards, cursing, but for all her speed, she wasn't fast enough. Slivers of Frostheart skewered her leg and shattered her left eye, tearing it from her socket. Her other gems flickered wildly, their rainbow patterns protecting what they could, but it was still all Lixil could do to remain upright. Staggering, she ran for the surface, pausing only to give one last hate-filled glare at Hogarth's crouching form before making her way to safety. Hogarth began to laugh. Tears streaming from his eyes, he howled and wept, fist banging against the cold stone floor as the world broke around him.
Free!
He crowed.
You hear that, Murog? Goneril, I'm free!
He laughed until his sides hurt, until he could barely breathe. And as the ground crumbled underneath him, his laughter followed him down into the dark.